Alright, we give praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High Yah by way of YAHUAH HaMashiach this day. And John 5:39 it shall be. Oh yeah, we'll be doing the immersions the day of trumpets. So either that week before or the week of is when we'll deal with things pertaining to immersion. That's what we usually do when those things roll around, but this one in particular just because of the dealing with the children. The question was asked, do you have to get your children immersed? You don't have to do anything. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to get yourselves immersed. You can, if you want to, wait for them, but we're just going to sit back and show certain things, how it pertains to children, of how in the law where you'll see an example of that happening for them. And then also, shoot, I can't merge your call in. You're going to have, there it goes, that call just dropped. And then, something as it pertains to Lydia, where it made a statement about Lydia and her household. And then run that back, show the examples out of that, and then you can make your decision as you see fit. Search the scriptures for any of you think you have eternal life, and they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that come from Elohim only? And see, that's biggest problem right there, what he just stated. They not seeking the honor that comes from Elohim only. Are you really seeking after Yah, or are you seeking after the things that be of men? Since I said that, let's look at Matthew chapter 16 and verse 18, and after that Luke chapter 11. It's always going to come down to what you actually seeking after. Everybody ain't seeking after the same things. And the thing that and that's why I've always told y'all on numerous occasions that just because somebody, you can make it Luke 16 and 13, just because somebody states that they believe this or this what they do, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's reality, because they may not necessarily be seeking after that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody don't seek after this. Just like we were talking about this, I think that was Tuesday. Yeah, that was Tuesday, and I told y'all about that Wednesday. Like, everybody know the things in their heart of which they really seeking out. This is why the master told you can't serve two masters, because you're going to love one and hate the other. You know what I'm saying? You're going to cleave to one and reject the other. You know what I'm saying? And that just go along the lines of like, you can't have your heart fully invested in two different places. It's going to be very, very difficult. That's why some people ask, like I seen a brother ask, like, if you married to more than one woman, could you love all them women equally? And when we look in the word, when we see men that had more than one wife, they did not love all of them women equally. There was one that they loved more than the other. Jacob loved Rachel more than he loved Leah. Irregardless of the circumstances, how that went down, that's just the reality of the situation. Hannah's husband loved her more than he loved the other wife that he had that had given him children. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at certain things, it's depending on what you seeking at. Like if you seeking after Yah with the whole heart, the whole mind, the whole soul, nothing else really is going to come in and interfere with that. So you're going to seek the things that emanate from Elohim and not the things that come from man. When you half-heartedly seeking after this man, then you're going to be concerned with the things of this life, and you're going to be concerned with people. That's why he told Timothy that to be a good soldier, you can't get caught up in the cares and affairs of this life. It's going to be impossible. You're not going to be able to please this man who called you to be a soldier. Now, of course, he was referring to somebody who had to wage the war by going to preach the word. unto the people. When you turn around and you look at it and try to apply it to the people, then it goes back to what the master told you: where your treasure is, your heart will be also. The things that you value and the things that you seek after and the things that you hold dear, that is where your heart is going to be. If you treasure the things of this life, which is the things you can attain in this life, and the people in this life, versus Elohim and the things that He has treasured up in Shamayim, then that's where your heart's going to be, and it's going to determine what you seek after. If you seek after Yah with the whole heart and the whole soul and the whole all of your strength, then it's a lot of things that you'll shed and discard, and that you won't have a desire to seek after. You definitely wouldn't care about receiving honor from men, because you wouldn't care anything about what a man had to think or to say. Not on the level of how we look at it naturally, I don't care what nobody think or say about me, but that you wouldn't be seeking to get esteem and respect from men first, because that's what that means. You're seeking that honor that you should be getting from Yah. You seeking it from a man first. Example: doing something for the poor and telling people about it. You know what I'm saying? Or filming yourself doing it, or taking photos of yourself doing it and then disseminating those those visuals. You know what I'm saying? Of you doing this, because you weren't doing that to get respect from Elohim. You were doing that for men to tell you how righteous you are, how great you are. You gotta pay attention to stuff. People who do stuff to be seen of men, because you want honor and respect from men first. Some people want that. That goes along with DC was talking about when he first got on the phone. People who have low self-esteem, low self-worth, and self-value, they need validation from other human beings to make them feel better about themselves and feel like they're worthy or they are somebody. When you should be seeking validation, honor, and worth from the man who created you, your soul rests in his hands. 16 and 13, book of Matthew. When Yahushua came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am?" They said, "Some say thou art John the Baptist, some say Elijah, others say Jeremiah or one of the prophets." He saith unto them, "But whom say ye that I am?" And Simon Peter answered and said, "Thou art the Mashiach, the Son of the living Elohim." Yahushua answered and said unto him, "Baruch art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood have not revealed it unto thee, but my Abba which is in Shamayim. And I say also unto thee that thou art Peter, upon this rock I will build my house, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of Shamayim. Whatsoever that shalt thou bind on the earth shall be bound in Shamayim, and whatsoever thou shalt loose on the earth shall be loosed in Shamayim." Then charged he his disciples that they should tell no man that he was Yahushua the Mashiach. From that time forth began Yahushua to show unto the disciples how that he must go unto Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed and be raised again the third day. Then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, "Be it far from thee, Master, this shall not be unto thee." But he turned and said unto him, "Peter, get thee behind me, Hashatan, thou art an offense unto me, for thou savor not the things that be of Elohim, but those that be of men." When you seeking after Yahuwah, then you supposed to be savoring the things that be of God. You can't be if you savoring the things that be of men and not the things that be of Yah, you ain't really seeking after him properly. Or at least with the whole mind and the whole heart and the whole soul. You're not seeking after him with your entire essence, because you worrying about the things that are of men. That's what stumble people up. I've always said this from the time that I began doing this, and try to reiterate it as often as possible. It's always about your heart. That's really what it's all about. You got to have a heart transplant. You have to make you a new heart, and you have to make you a new spirit. If you don't do it, you will go to hell. That's the end of the day. There's no other way around that. You cannot try to take bits and pieces of information and then not convert and change yourself. If you convert and change yourself, then your desires will change. You know what I'm saying? Your thoughts will change. Your actions will change. Your peer group will change. What you're attracted to will change. You know what I'm saying? Everything is going to change. You know, I'll wait on that, because that was something I was talking to somebody else about earlier. Luke chapter 11. Without that complete and utter conversion, it's not going to happen. Luke 11, probably about verse 5, I suppose. Like it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. This is why you people sit back and people mock. That's why people, when people don't see that change or that matter, if they see, okay, you made some modifications, but you haven't changed, because the people who know you gonna know if you done made a change. Because if you done made a change, they gonna start slandering you, mocking you. You know what I'm saying? Waiting for you to fall. But if they feel like you haven't really made no change, then they continue to deal with you in the same capacity that they always dealt with you with, because they feel like you full of crap. You know what I'm saying? We was just talking about this. So they, like most people, I don't care how much they say they love you, most people do not respect what you doing because you think it's about you when they really hate your God. You have to get your mind off the fact that you think it's about you, that they gonna respect you, they gonna respect the word because it's you. How can they respect the word because it's you and they don't even respect the speaker of said word? So you know they're not going to respect you in that essence that you think they do. Because niggas think you stupid and retarded and dumb for following after this man. But if you follow after him lukewarm, then people don't really care because they feel like you in the same boat as them, so it doesn't make a difference. You know what I'm saying? If you staunch and steadfast, they look at you weird. They have things to say about you because you're not doing what they doing. That's why this man say, I have things, he say, I have a few things against you. You know what I'm saying? I haven't found your works perfect before Elohim. You have to look at that. Could this man be able to come there? Is this man the same way he was speaking to this congregation in the book of Revelation? Could he sit back and look at you and say, hey man, you know, I have a few things against you. Your works are not perfect. Because everybody knows if their works are perfect or not, or complete or mature. You know what you're doing and what you're not doing. And we have to go past, and it ain't just on you keeping Sabbaths or not eating certain foods. Because this man say you know the plagues of your own heart, and niggas know the type of stuff that they be doing, or the type of stuff that they desiring to do, or the things that they compromising on, or the things that they turn the blind eye to. Like we mentioned before, it ain't always what you doing. Sometimes it be your heart and the actions that emanate from your heart. This is why Proverbs tell you to guard your heart, because the issues of life emanate from it. They emanate from it. So when he's telling you to guard your heart, it means that's to protect your mind. You have to protect your mind. A lot of us don't protect our mind. Matter of fact, let me pull the word for guard up since I mentioned that word. A lot of people don't protect their mind. That's where the problem coming at. Are you really protecting your heart? Are you really paying attention to what the type of thoughts that you have and the things that you allow in your mind? Because the things that you allow in your mind will definitely dictate your actions. That word is keep. It's nasar, and it's to guard or to observe or to keep secret or to keep close or to watch over. You have to protect your mind. Sometimes you have to protect it from certain levels of media. Sometimes you have to protect it from people. And sometimes you even have to protect it from your own self. Luke 11:5. And he said unto them, which of you shall have a friend and shall go unto him at midnight and say unto him, friend, send me 3 loaves. For a friend of mine is in his journey, is come to me, and I have nothing to set before him. And he from within shall answer and say, trouble me not, the door is now shut, and my children are with me in bed. I cannot rise and give thee. I say unto you, though he will not rise and give him because he is his friend, yet because of importunity he will rise and give him as many as he need. And I say unto you, ask, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asks receive, and he that seek find, and he that knock it shall be opened. If a son shall ask bread of any of you that is a father, will he give him a stone? Or if he ask a fish, will for a fish he give him a serpent? Or if he shall ask an egg, will he offer him a scorpion? If ye then, being evil, knowing how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father in Shamahim give the Ruach HaKodesh to them that ask him? So you got to ask yourself that. But to notice the key thing, he said what you had to do. Not only did you have to ask, but you had to seek and you had to knock. So you had to be diligent in your seeking after this man and your labor in order to attain the thing that you desire to get from him. You just can't say, give me the Ruach, and he just going to give it to you. You have to look at the 3 things of what he told you needed to do. You needed to ask, you needed to seek, and you needed to knock. So that means you would have to go after him. Let's look at something else that's just in my brain. I forgot just that fast. Oh, well, First Chronicle chapter 16. It'll come back in a minute. First Chronicle chapter 16 and probably about verse 8. Because if you want something bad enough, you'll do whatever is necessary to get it. And most of the time, a lot of things we walk away from is because we don't really want it as bad as we say we do. We'll make it 16 and 7. And if you say you want to enter this man's kingdom that bad, then how hard are you willing to seek after it? How hard are you willing to work for it? Or do you feel like it's just supposed to fall in your lap and he just supposed to give it to you? Like he owe you that. You have to think about that type of stuff. How bad do you want it? How hard are you gonna go after it? And all that good stuff. Then on that day, David delivered first this psalm to thank Yahuwah into the hand of Asaph and his brethren. Give thanks unto Yahuwah, call upon his name, make known his deeds among the people. Sing unto him, sing songs unto him, and talk ye of all his wondrous works. Esteem ye in his Kadesh name. Let the heart of them that rejoice seek Yahuwah. Seek Yahuwah and his strength. Seek his face continually. Now, you got two different words in this particular verse for seek. Now, the word for continually in this particular verse is the adverb tamed, and it's continuity or just a perpetual thing, to constantly, regularly. It even sits back to mention that this is a regular daily sacrifice. And we're going to keep that in mind. So, when we look at this word for seek, the first word for seek that's mentioned in that first word, that word is darash, and it's for you to actually seek with care and to inquire. That you frequent this place, that you seek him in prayer and worship, that you investigate, that you practice, that you study, and you follow, and you seek with application. And then we had to go ahead and spell it all the way out, and you have three characters for it. You have the Daleth, you have the Rosh, and you have the Shan. So when you look at that, you have a door, you have the chief or the head, and you have the teeth, or to consume or to destroy. Now, we'll mention the other one in just a moment. Let me get the other one now while I'm doing it. Kill two birds with one stone. The other word for seek in this verse is bakash. This one is to exact or to request, or to seek, to find, or to seek, to secure. And when you spell that out, you get the bat, the kaf, and the shan again. So you get the house, you get a division, and you get the teeth and consuming and destroying again. So when you look at the first word for seeking, you get in the head that opens the door that is going to destroy something. So in order to seek after this man, something had to be destroyed so the head can open the door for you. And we're going to look at something when it comes to that door, when we think about that. So certain things should be coming through your head. Then the second thing, word for seek, you should be looking at the house that defies or destroys. So something has to, the destruction of something is going to divide for you to be able to get into this house. So when you see, and of course looking at one of those words is dealing with daily sacrifice, then the thought process of coming into your brain of seeking after Yah is going to cause you to have to die or to destroy certain things, which is going to allow the head to be able to open this door for you, or allow the separation after this is destroyed for you to get in the house. So when we looking at seeking after Yah, you get the underlying message of, if you're seeking his face and his strength continually, you're going to have to lose something. Something's going to have to be destroyed. That's in both of these words each time, that something has to be consumed and something has to be destroyed in order for you to be able to meet him. If you don't do that, then you're not actually seeking after him, which goes back to what was mentioned beforehand. You're going to have to lose something. So let's go to Isaiah chapter 22, if I'm not mistaken. Because remember, this book, the verse before that, verse 10, tells you that the heart of them that seek Yah should rejoice. And that's Bakash again. So the heart of you that are seeking after Yah should rejoice. So if you have destroyed the flesh or destroyed the sin or whichever term you want to use to say the same exact thing, then you ought to rejoice, because this rejoicing is because of the simple fact you're able to get in the door. You're able to enter in the door. You're able to enter into Mashiach. You cannot enter into Mashiach without destroying the old man. Nevertheless, let's look at Isaiah 22. And see, this is the part of the game of why certain people don't want to deal with certain aspects of the word or hear certain things that when it comes to the word. Because they don't want to do that. That's why people I'll be honest with you, that's why people cleave to you and Israelite and the culture. The cultural stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because then they don't have to deal with the inward stuff. When you start dealing with stuff that's inward, that's going to cause men to start to examine themselves. This is why I told y'all a few weeks back that we be more concerned with the inner health of your organs that operate your body versus your inner spiritual health. We'll go all day long working out, eating certain things properly, not drinking certain beverages. You know what I'm saying? This, that, then I ain't going to eat that because that's detrimental to my body. That's not good. That's got GMOs. This got this and this got that. But then you don't do that thing for your soul, because you don't look at the people you consume or actually be around consuming their thoughts or consuming their words is just as detrimental as a GMO banana. You know what I'm saying? It's just as bad as some modified meat. What's the difference? Because the book describes words as meat sometimes. And we sit around and eat people words that are genetically modified, and you eat that and you don't have a problem with it. You know what I'm saying? And it's doing just as much as destruction to your body as some genetically modified meat. We look at genetically modified vegetables, you sit down, or fruits, we sit down to eat that, but we don't consider that in any other avenue because we're more concerned about saving your physical body, because it's easier for you to face the realities and harshness of the dis-ease that you can get naturally than face the dis-ease that you may have spiritually, because it's going to cause you to assess yourself as a person, and you probably don't want to do that because you might begin to see stuff you don't want to see and deal with stuff you don't want to deal with. So it's better for you to ignore it. But for your soul's sake, it's just better to go ahead and get it over with. It's going to hurt for a second, get over it. Man say he wound but he healed. That's what he say now. He say he wound but he healed at the same token. Isaiah 22. Where's the verse? There we go. Isaiah 22 and 20. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will call my servant Eliakim the son of Hilkiah, and I will clothe him with thy robe, and strengthen him with thy girdle, and I will commit thy government into his hand. And he shall be a father to the inhabitants of Jerusalem and to the house of Yehudah. And the key of the house of David will I lay upon his shoulders. Shall he open, and none shall shut, and he shall shut, and none shall open. And I will fasten him as a nail in a sure place, and he shall be for an esteemed throne to his father's house. Now notice, and we notice here the master said the same thing in Revelation 3. He got the key of David, he got the door that no man can shut, and he can shut the door that no man can open. But if in order for you, this is why the master told you this in Luke chapter 11. If you seek, you shall find, and if you knock, it will be open unto you. Because if you seeking after this man to inquire, that goes back to what we were talking about on Wednesday in Psalms 27 about acquiring in his temple, about the considering and the reflecting, and that the one thing that you would seek after, which would be his beauty of the house of Yahuwah, which is his favor. So if you're seeking after this man, you're seeking after his favor. In order to get to his favor, we have to understand and consider this in Ephesians chapter 2, and then swing back to Luke 9. Of which y'all knows every chance I get a chance to work that verse in, I'm going to work it in, because it needs to be repeatedly pounded in every man, woman, and child's head upon the face of this planet. The same thing he mentioned in Luke chapter 14, just said it in a different way, but said the same thing. So let's look at Ephesians chapter 2, probably about verse 4. And it says, but Elohim, who is rich in mercy for his great love wherewith he loved us, even when we were dead in sins, have quickened us together with Mashiach. By favor ye are saved, and have raised us up together, and made us sit together in places in Shamahim and Mashiach Yahushua, that in the ages to come he might show the exceeding riches of his favor and his kindness towards us through Yahushua HaMashiach. For by favor are you saved through faith, and not of yourselves. It is a gift of Elohim, not of works, lest any man should boast. For we are his workmanship, created in Yahushua HaMashiach unto good works, which Elohim have ordained that we should walk in them. So what we're looking at and understanding from what he just stated, it's a free gift. When we're looking at the seeking and inquiring, it's telling you that something has to be destroyed for you to be able to enter in the door. Well, let's do it like this. Before we even get to Luke chapter 9. We don't got to do that because we already read it in Matthew 16. The master sat back and stated how he had to be destroyed. He had to be killed by the chiefs and scribes, and how that he would rise again the third day. And because he did that, we know that he resurrected from the dead and then ascended back on high. But we will read it in Ephesians chapter 4 though. We'll read it right there though. Ephesians 4 and 8. And he ascended on high and went back into the door of the tabernacle in Shamahim to make intercession on our behalf, which would allow us to be able to seek after and to inquire and to seek with application to serve Elohim. So, and then we see the same thing with the second word, with the Bakash, with the same thing. The now becomes a division. So, when we look after seeking after Yah, that means that there has to be a separation. That separation will come down to what it is that you have destroyed. What is it that you have destroyed? You have destroyed sin from reigning in your mortal body, or you have crucified the flesh, which goes back to the conversations that we had last week about the differences between the Nephash and the Ruach, or the attributes of Yahuwah and the attributes of the flesh. The attributes of flesh are your appetites and your desires. You must destroy your appetites and desires in order to enter into the house or to enter into the door. If you do not destroy those appetites and desires, going back to what we just read in Isaiah 22, because he said he would make him a nail in a sure place. We know, we go back and look in the making of the tabernacle in Exodus, and you see the things with the nails and how they're placed in certain places, and this is how it allows you to be referring us to be crucified with him. If you're crucified with him, then you have destroyed the flesh or the sin in that mortal body to cause you to enter in, because you can't go inquire in this man's temple in that state. You can't come in here unclean. You can't do it. So this is what's going to separate you. And I just, in my personal opinion, I believe majority of our people just do not want to. Well, shoot, the book also bears witness that, to be told, this is what's basing my opinion. We don't want to be separated from these people. And when I say these people, not just the heathen, I'm talking about anybody who would contrary to the word. We don't really want to be separated from these people. You don't really want to lose them. That's why in Judges he said, you've mingled yourself with the people of the land. Why have you done this? Which is going back to why he say don't be unequally yoked with unbelievers. Now when he was stating that, most people take that and you can use it in that fashion of equating it about who you would marry and who you wouldn't marry. You know what I'm saying? But he's really talking about in general though. You know what I'm saying? I mentioned that because I had a young woman that I know, you know what I'm saying, who she's a Christian, and she said this Hebrew dude that she knows trying to get out of this type of a third, or told her that he didn't believe in Jesus and that Jesus wasn't coming back, and she asked me that I believe he was coming back, and I'm like, absolutely, because she know what I'm on. So she was trying to see what my thought process was at versus his. So she asked me, would I date a non-Hebrew woman? So I asked her, like, are you meaning not black or not believing what I believe? And she was referring to the latter, because I definitely not marrying a non-black woman. That's not happening. You know what I'm saying? I just can't see that happening. You know what I'm saying? To each his own. I'm not marrying no Asian woman, no white woman, no Arab woman, no nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm good on that. And I'm definitely not marrying somebody who don't believe what I believe. That's retarded. You know what I'm saying? That does not make any sense whatsoever. Then especially dealing with, when you preaching the word, you know, it's qualifications for your wife too, which actually go back to the law. You know what I'm saying? Because your wife has to be a particular type of way. And most dudes don't look at that. You can't preach the word and be married to anybody. You know what I'm saying? Dudes don't care. But our law even tells us that a priest can't be married to no profane woman. Can't be married to no common, no regular woman. You can't do that. Ephesians chapter 4, right, verse 8. He said, wherefore he saith, when he has ascended up on high, he led captivity captive and gave gifts unto men. Now that he ascended, what is it but that he also descended first into the lower parts of the earth? He that descended is the same also that ascended up far above all Shamahim, that he might fill all things. Now the master went in to come back up. Now when he telling you to ascend, talking about ascending, he talking about him ascending into the tabernacle on high and entering into that house. But to enter into that house, he's got to come in the door. You know, the master told you in John chapter 10, he is the door of which you enter into, you shall have rest. So that's why he say he has a door that no man can shut, because that door leads to rest. That door leading to rest causes you to dwell in the tabernacle of Elohim. When you dwell in the tabernacle of Elohim, then you can behold the beauty of the temple or the house of Yahuwah, like we read Wednesday, which means you can behold his mercy. But you cannot behold that mercy, and you can't get that rest until you have destroyed yourself. Until you have destroyed that old man and become a new creature and made yourself new. Until you destroy them appetites, till you destroy them emotions, till you destroy them desires, until you destroy that flesh, you cannot enter in. And if you're going to seek Yah, that's why the book this is why the master said what he said in Luke 14. Let's look at what he said in Luke 14. Screw it. Luke 14 and 30, if I'm not mistaken. Then we'll look at Luke chapter 9. Ain't going to hurt nothing. Understand what it means of what you seeking after. You got to really sit back and look at the cost. You got to look at the cost. Verse 27 is better. Screw it. We read 26. You hear it again. You hear it till it resonates in your brain. If you're going to seek after Yahuwah, then you got to understand what the cost is going to be. Because something has to be destroyed. Which means you, and then it mentioned a daily sacrifice. You know that Romans chapter 12 says that you should offer yourself as a living sacrifice. This is your reasonable service. But we'll go back and read it, because it's also telling you this stuff. I'm sitting there telling you, if you want to get to Yah, you have to lose something. You can't get everything you want and get him too. Because your Savior, that he didn't do that. He didn't follow that track. So we can't follow that track if we think we're going to seek after Yah and get everything we want and get Yah. You just a selfish individual. You don't really love Yah. You just want to get what you feel like you can get out of him. Just a user, so to speak, for lack of a better term. And there went a great multitudes and went with him, and he turned and said unto them, if any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, and yea, his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. Whosoever doth not bear his stake and come after me cannot be my disciple. For which of you intending to build a tower, sit not down first and count the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it. Lest happily after he have laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold it began to mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king going to make war against another king sit not down first and consult whether he be able with 10,000 to beat him that come against him with 20,000? Or else while the other is yet a great way off, he send an ambassage and desire conditions of shalom. So likewise, whosoever he be of you that forsake not all that he hath, he cannot be my disciple. Those are heavy words which this man stated. The first thing that he stated about you beginning to build and not be able to finish, the mock, some of y'all should know that go back to the law when Moses asked y'all not to kill all of us because the Egyptians would mock. Because we weren't able to finish because of our stubbornness and our wickedness and our desire just to be evil all the time. That's all we knew how to do. That's all we wanted to do, was just be evil. We weren't willing to sit down and count the cost. And then there's instances of say, like with certain kings we seen that with the king Hosea trying to come out and make a deal with the Syrians, desiring conditions of peace. And same thing with Benadad. We just ain't went in great detail in those wars like that to line that up with that particular passage of what he's mentioning right here. But you got to ask yourself this here. If you're not willing to forsake all that you have, are you really able to be this man's disciple? If you don't take up your stake, you can't be this man. What we were going to get in Luke 9:23, you already know. He that come after me, later take his stake up daily and follow me. Your daily sacrifice. They made sacrifices in that temple every single day. Morning, noon, and evening. Every day. You're supposed to be sacrificing yourself to this man every day. That sacrifice will show forth of how you are a new creature, a new person in Mashiach. Old things are passed away. If you're seeking after him with the whole heart, the whole mind, and the whole soul. If you're not doing that, then you're not seeking after this man with the whole heart and the whole mind and the whole soul. You're just doing what you did when you were a Christian. You're just doing something for the sake of doing it. You full of crap. Do you know what I'm saying? You're not real with it. A lot of people are not real with it. There's a lot of people in this word based on certain, and I ain't talking about people slipping up neither, or doing stuff they ain't got no business, or getting disillusioned. That ain't what I'm talking about. It's certain moves that people have made, or certain claims that people had done said, or certain things they said they were going to do and didn't do, that I done ran across in this word, of whom I do not respect them at all. You know what I'm saying? Because you full of crap. So you got to understand the difference. It's one thing, okay, man, I let my flesh get the best of me. Maybe I let my flesh get the best of me for an extended period of time. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay, that happens. Pray y'all have mercy on you. That doesn't mean I lose respect for you on that. It's certain things niggas do or say out their mouth where I'm sitting back watching them like, you not really on this for real. And you could pretend really good. And somebody else might think you solid with it, but I see straight through you. Not going to say nothing. I'm going to let niggas see that for themselves over time. You know what I'm saying? Because I can see it. And that's only because of the word that I can look and tell this nigga's full of crap. This nigga's not on that for real. That nigga's not on that for real. That's not where their heart's at. It's certain stuff. If you pay attention, you can see where somebody's heart's really at. There's a difference between your heart being in something and you struggling to overcome yourself. There's a difference between the two. Most people are struggling to overcome themselves. You know what I'm saying? And that's a battle that each individual person can fight. All you can do is give somebody exhortation and encouragement in the word for them to continually battle to overcome themselves. And some niggas, they just doing this just to do it, or to persuade or convince or hold on to particular people in their life. Period. To stay your friend. You know what I'm saying? To get you to marry him or get you to stay with him if you're already married. This ain't really where they heart at. And you can see that if you pay close attention, you can see that that's not where a person's heart is at. Wherever your heart is on something, you're probably going to be passionate about it. You're probably going to be dead serious about it. It's not going to be no laxness in it. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be no passivity in it. It's not going to be none of that. And then, truth be told, you can always, and I'll tell y'all this here too before we proceed. Y'all will always put you in a position that if your flesh has not been slayed, for you to show you that your flesh has not been slayed, and that you need to mortify yourself in this particular area. Always remember that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you get put in a position, you lose your cool, you get a little angry. You know what I'm saying? Maybe whatever the case may be, and you get put in those positions, and hopefully you don't commit a sin if you get put in that position. God forbid you commit a sin and you get put in that type of position. But he put you in that position for you to see that there's an aspect of the flesh that you haven't mortified, so you can mortify it. I'm telling y'all that so you don't get discouraged within your own self if you get put in a situation and you feel like you didn't react the way that you should have reacted. Because all it's showing you is you just need to mortify your members. That's all it's showing. You know what I'm saying? That's all you need to sit back and look at. Nevertheless, I mentioned Luke chapter 9. Let's continue on. Let's go over here to 1 Chronicles chapter 22. We're going to hit that Proverbs chapter 1 too. Because I want y'all to get a good understanding on that there. That if you don't want to seek after the man, he got a trick for you. You don't want to listen when he called for you. And we done dealt with it before in different aspects. He got a trick for you. 1 Chronicles 22 and 15. He got a real good trick for you. See, because you can't play with y'all like that. That man calling for you, that man telling you to do something, he telling you to bust a move, and you feel like you a bust it when you feel like you want to bust it, and he said you ain't even got to worry about busting it. You ain't even got to make that move. Don't even worry about it. Make it verse 17. You ain't even got to worry about it. That's why we read that in Psalm 32 and Isaiah 55. You better seek him while he is near. He said this is the prayer of the godly while Yahuwah can be found. Don't get yourself in no position where this man can't be found and now you want to come screaming out, crying out to him. It's too late then. Don't pull no Esau. Because that's what happened to Esau. He didn't seek after Yahuwah in a time where Yahuwah could be found. So when it came time to get that blessing, Yahuwah couldn't be found. Matter of fact, since I said that, let me wait. Don't get ahead of ourselves. 1 Chronicles 22 and 17. David also commanded all the princes of Yasharal to help Solomon his son, saying, Is not Yahuwah your Elohim with you? Have he not given you rest on every side? For he hath given the inhabitants of the land under my hand, and the land is subdued before Yahuwah and before his people. Now set your heart and your soul to seek Yahuwah your Elohim. Arise therefore, build ye the sanctuary of Yahuwah, to bring the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah and the Kadesh vessels of Elohim into the house that is to be built to the name of Yahuwah. This man said you need to set your heart and your soul to seek after Yah. Set your heart and your soul to seek after Yah. Let's take it to the words of the master real quick. Let's take it to Mark chapter 12 verse 27. And after we take it to Mark chapter 12 verse 27, let's take it to the epistle of Titus in the second chapter. See, and we're going to look at all of these things. Then he told you to build the sanctuary so you could bring the ark and the set apart vessels into that house that is to be built to the name of Yah. But you got to set your heart and your soul to seek after Yah. That's what a lot of people not doing. You're not setting your heart and your soul to seek after the man. You ask yourself, why are you not setting your heart and your soul to go after the man? What is stopping you? Because something's stopping you. And 9 times out of 10, it's your own desires, it's your own flesh. That's what's stopping you. I hope you ain't letting a person stop you. Because the word for set in that verse is Nathan. And it's to give or to bestow or to grant or ascribe or employ or to devote, to be given, to be delivered up, to be made, to be inflicted. So when you setting your heart up, to your heart and soul to seek Yah, that means again it's telling you to give yourself up. To give yourself up. It's a common theme, as you can see, when it's dealing with seeking after Yah. You got to give yourself up. This is what don't nobody want to do. This is what don't nobody want to do. So you just thinking seeking after Yah was just opening up the book and reading some scripts. No, it's giving up yourself. That means what you want to do, where you want to go, who you want to be around, all of that. You got to give yourself up. I'll read that Jeremiah 45 and 5 in just a moment. Let's read that Jeremiah 45 and 5 now, and then we'll swing to this Mark chapter 12. Now I want you to sit back and understand something. There's nothing wrong with going after anything that you would want to do in this life. But boy, you better keep things in perspective at the same token. Jeremiah 45 and 1. Keep things in perspective at the same token. Because if it come down, this man just said, if you ain't willing to abandon everything that you have, you can't be his disciple. So could you walk away from dreams or people or whatever for Yah? Because you want Yahushua, because that's what you going after. That's what you seeking after. Because that is what he did. He forsook everything. He ain't telling you to do nothing he didn't do himself. I was telling Dad this last night, and I done told some of y'all this before. Y'all remember this here. Some of y'all remember this here when we was dealing with how the law talk about the woman having the birth pains, and how Mashiach went to give birth to have birth pains, to be able to relate to you as a woman. Because what did the book say? That he took on the nature of Abraham and not the nature of Malachim, so that he could be a faithful and merciful high priest, that he could be a succorer or aid and a helper to relief to those that are tempted for himself being tempted. He came through and went through the human experience to be able to understand what you're going through, to be an aid and a help and a relief to you. So anything that he is telling you to do, he went and did it himself. So when you can't stand before this man's throne and make no excuse in any matter, in any area of this life, because he experienced it himself. So you can't come with none of that stuff. So instead of looking at the excuses that we try to make, let's just sit back and look at what this man is telling us to do, and knowing he did it for me, why I can't do it for him. And he didn't have to come do it for me. He don't owe me anything. But you owe him your life, though. And you need to remember that. That needs to be at the front of your mind. Not that needs to be at the front of your mind, the side of your mind, the back of your mind, anywhere in your mind. It needs to be in your mind. You owe him. He don't owe you. You owe this man your life. He paid for you. You didn't pay for him. You need to remember that. You need to remember that. You know what I'm saying? While niggas around here playing, scooting, playing around, worrying about garments here, Hebrew here, parsing there, this, that, there, and the third. Boy, you owe somebody your life. How you going to repay that debt? The only way you can repay that debt is to serve this man in the righteous obedience of faith, and the debt is paid. The debt is paid. And how does this man tell you to pay this debt? By giving yourself up. By seeking him with the whole heart and the whole soul and giving yourself up. And that's how you'll pay the debt. But we don't want to do that. Because that would require sacrifice and effort and diligence and focus. That sounds like too much work. Jeremiah 45:1. That the word that Jeremiah the prophet spake unto Baruch the son of Neriah, when he had written those words in a book at the mouth of Jeremiah in the 4th year of Jehoiakim the son of Josiah, Malach of Yehudah, saying, Thus saith Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yasharah, unto thee, O Baruch, thou didst say, Woe is me now, for Yahuwah have added grief to my sorrow. I fainted in my sighing, and I find no rest. Pause. Let's look at 2 Corinthians chapter 4. Because this will make you think about the master. You know, when he was in the time and he was like, this here destruction's on me now. And he was exceedingly sorrowful unto death. And he was round here sighing. He couldn't find no rest. His heart was troubled. And I know some of y'all be dealing with certain stuff and situations in your life, whatever you're dealing with, your heart may be troubled. You're sighing, you're feeling like you're destroyed, this, that, and the third. But let's look at what the book say right here in 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 1. Just for you to keep that in mind. And we come right back to Jeremiah 45. Therefore, seeing we have this ministry as we have received mercy, we faint not. But we have renounced the hidden things of dishonesty, not walking in craftiness, nor holding the word of Elohim deceitfully, but by manifestation of truth, committing ourselves to every man's conscience in the sight of Elohim. Now, of course, he's talking about sitting back preaching the word, right? But at the same token, if you a servant of Elohim, you need to renounce the hidden things of dishonesty. Those hidden things of malice and jealousy and deceit and envy, you know what I'm saying, and lasciviousness and all of those things that are resting in your heart. You need to renounce those things or to sacrifice those things. Give those things up. Then you can actually hold this man's word in a true conscience that you serving him in Ruach and in truth, and that you'll receive a full reward. You got to consider that. Because again, this is taken back to this statement in verse 2. It's steady taking you back to one thing. Your heart. The things that you keep and contain in your mind is taking you back to that every single time. Because as a man thinketh, so he is. You know what I'm saying? It's not what goes in a man that defiles him, and what comes out. It's what is in your heart is what's going to dictate your actions. He said a corrupt tree can't bring forth good fruit, and a good tree can't bring forth corrupt fruit. So therefore, make the tree good and its fruit good, or make the tree corrupt and its fruit corrupt. You're going to have to pick. You can't be in between. You can't be in between. Because you have to look at that type of stuff. You can't say you're a good fruit, but you do evil every now and then. Nigga, you evil. Bottom line. That's the part you have to look at. You can't say, oh man, that's a good dude, but he do evil, then he ain't a good dude. Or she's a good woman, but she do this stuff, then she ain't a good woman. This is the master's words. This is Matthew chapter 12. Read it for yourself. This is the master's words. He say a good tree can't bring forth corrupt fruit. So if you bring forth corruption, you're not good. But he gave you a remedy. Make the tree good. That was your remedy. And that's on you. Make the tree good. That's all you got to do. He said, but if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the esteemed gospel of Mashiach, who is the image of Elohim, should shine unto them. Drop down about verse 18, though. We got to roll. For which cause we faint not. Let's get verse 14. Knowing that he which raised up the Master Yahushua shall raise up us also by Yahushua, shall present us with you. For all things are for your sakes, that the abundant favor might through the thanksgiving of many redound to the esteem of Elohim. For which cause we faint not, but though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day. You know, he told you that in the book of Isaiah, that you know. Let's go on to get Isaiah 40 and 31, because I'm going to misquote it, and I just don't want to misquote it. I ain't going to say it right. I already got a feeling I ain't going to say it right. So let's just not even do it. Isaiah 40 and 31. But we'll pick him up at 28, though. Matter of fact, we'll make it 26. I like 26 a little bit, yeah. Make it 25. Isaiah 40 and 25. You get all of it. That hurts so bad. To whom will you liken me, or shall I be equal? Saith the Kadesh one. Lift up your eyes on high, and behold who have created these things, that bring out the host by number. He called them all by names, by the greatness of his might. For he that is strong in power, not one fail. Why say thou, O Jacob, and speak, O Yasharal, my way is hid from Yahuwah, and my judgment is passed over from my Elohim. That's what you got to sit back and look at. But your way is not hid from this man, and your he's not going to pass over that judgment. Because though a man commits sin 100 times, it will not be well with him in the end. Don't sit back and think your judgment been passed over now. Don't be no nigga. Don't think, oh, he ain't got it yet. It's waiting for you. And it's waiting for you on the aspect of it's written that it's that man died once, but after that the judgment. While you breathing, you have a chance to get your sins remitted unto you. Don't walk in the flesh, and don't walk in disobedience to the point that man turn you over reprobate because you don't want to listen. Because once you get turned over reprobate, it's over. You know what I'm talking about? It is over. Ain't no returning back from that. And remember what the key thing with the book say, because you don't like to retain this man in your knowledge, or because when you heard the truth, you didn't have a love for the truth, but you have pleasure in unrighteousness, that he gives you over to a strong delusion that you should believe a lie, that you might be damned because you didn't have a love for the truth. You know what I'm saying? You got to look at that type of stuff. That's what gets you cut off. The other thing gets you cut off is half-stepping and playing, because he say, I'd rather you be hot or cold than lukewarm. He said, since you are not hot or cold but lukewarm, I will spit you out of my mouth. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to ride, or you're going to have to get off the bus. Yeah, you got to mute your phone there, sir. And I lost my page. Hast thou not known, hast thou not heard, that the everlasting Elohim, Yahuwah, the creator of the ends of the earth, faint not, neither is weary. There is no searching of his understanding. See, look at what the key thing that man say. You're not searching after his understanding. What is understanding? The Son of Elohim has come that he would give us an understanding, that we may know him that is true, that we are in him that is true. Even his son Yahushua HaMashiach. This is the true Elohim in eternal life. This is what 1 John 5 and 20 tell you about what is understanding. Nobody is searching after this man's understanding. Why is no one searching after this man's understanding? That's what we got to ask ourselves. Why ain't nobody searching after this man's understanding? Why are we not concerned with getting his understanding? If you seeking after this man, then you would sacrifice yourself. Therefore, you would be searching for this man's understanding. See, we trying to see, and that's why he tell you not to lean upon your own understanding, because that's what we like to do. We like to lay upon, and that's an investigation or inquiry, a thing to be searched out. It's kakur. It's a deliberation, an enumeration, and this goes back to what we start with every single solitary week, searching the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. Are you searching after Mashiach with the whole heart and the whole mind and the whole soul? Because you know the understanding is the tabun, and that's your insight, skillfulness and reason, your wisdom. Yahushua has been made to you understanding and wisdom. Are you seeking that out? And if you're going to seek after Yahushua, he just told you what you got to do. You're going to have to take up your stake and follow him. You're going to have to sacrifice yourself. No one can come before him. You're going to have to sit down and ask yourself, do you have sufficient to count the cost? Because this man is already the door for you to get in, but you're going to have to be destroyed to get in the door. You're going to have to be destroyed to get in the house. How are you going to have to do it? By nailing yourself up with this man in that sure place. Which means you're going to have to sacrifice yourself. You cannot seek after Yah and not sacrifice yourself. You're going to have to lose something. If everything around you is going on where they sinning and doing this, that, that, and the third, you have to make that sacrifice. There's some people ain't gonna make no sacrifice. We use this just as an example of real time stuff in the book of Nehemiah. Do you know how difficult that had to be for these people to sacrifice their wives and their children? You don't think the men love them women and love them kids? Do you think that we read it in the text? And of course, you can't sit back and get the aspect of how they may have felt emotionally because it didn't tell you about it. But if you're a human being, if you're a flesh and blood person, you know that probably had to be a very, very difficult proposition for them to do. And they just didn't do it just to do it because somebody told them to do it or because they trying to impress the people around them. They understood that the situation that they placed themselves in was displeasing to their God, and they had to make a sacrifice in this particular matter to reconcile themselves back to Him. See, but we so selfish. We looking at it as you will look at it as Nehemiah telling you to do this for Nehemiah. That's how selfish we are. Ezra is telling us to do this for Ezra, even though this man had been praying all day for this people, pulling his beard out because you niggas, after he done delivered us from this bondage, done turned around and put yourself right back in a situation that placed us in bondage in the first place. This is why Paul said, if I rebuild the things that I have destroyed, I made myself a transgressor. That's what they were doing in the time of Ezra and Nehemiah, rebuilding the things that he had destroyed. Why are you going to get set free and turn around and do the very thing that got you in captivity in the first place? That's dumb. And then when this man gives you the situation according to the word of how you need to rectify it, our hearts are so black, our hearts are so selfish, we're going to look at it and say, that's just what he wants us to do. I ain't doing that. And that's how you can see an example of somebody being reprobate because you don't have a love for the truth. Because you're not retaining this man's word and your knowledge because you think it's about that person and you when it's about doing what's right in the eyesight of Yah and not you and not him. That's our problem. Anytime we get in a lot of things and we say, oh, that's just what he wants us to do, it's because you don't want to do what the words say do. So you got to make it seem like that's what that person is saying. That that's his words and that's what he wants you to do because you don't want to do what Yah telling you to do. Because the word is the word and it says what it says. You know what I'm saying? You can take it how you want to take it and you can do what you want to with it. It's not going to change what it says. It's not going to change we're going to be held accountable for it, whether you want to do it or not, whether you agree with it or not. It doesn't matter. That's our problem. We think this man cares whether you like what he says or not. He don't care if you agree with it. He don't care if you like it. He doesn't care. Now, do we all know that men will use the book, pervert the word, to get across their particular selfish aims? Absolutely, men do this. The book tells you men do this. The master told you men would do this. But if you were actually seeking after this man with the whole heart and sacrificing yourself and seeking his face and his will, then you would have the discernment to know when a nigga is doing that. But we don't do that because we just out here doing it how we want to do it or not really fully committed. You have to be fully committed to anything that you do in your life. I don't care what it is. You have to be fully committed to it. If you're not fully committed to it, you're going to do it halfway. And you're going to get halfway results. And then you're going to be upset because you get halfway results. And you're going to be looking for somebody to blame for your halfway results instead of taking responsibility that you're the reason why you have halfway results. And what do you need to do to rectify your halfway results so you can get full results? Because that man ain't going to want to hear, it's this person's fault why I did this. That man ain't trying to hear none of that. That's your fault. You did that. Unless someone purposely led you astray. And even still, you still going to get paid for it. They just going to get their whole head lopped off. Because remember what he told you, the blind lead the blind, they all going to fall in a ditch. So if the stupid leading the stupid, what you think going to happen? Everybody going to be stupid. Genesis chapter 40, verse 29. He give power to the faint. He give them that have no might. He increase strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon Yahuwah shall renew their strength, and they shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not be faint. Come on back to 2 Corinthians chapter 4. And that's what you have to sit back and remember. He said he gives strength to those that are weak. We talked about that the other day. The adversary only come when you in a weak state. That's when he come. Because that's when you are susceptible of listening to his advice or to his options. See, that's when he comes. I'm telling you, you sit back and know that. Look at any situation you've been in since you dealt with the word, and anytime if you went astray, it was because you were in a weak state, and then assess who or what was around you when you did that. And then you'll be able to know that's not Yah. You're supposed to have enough common sense to know that Yah will come to strengthen you when you're weak, not lead you away from him. He's not going to do that. He's not going to do that. He is not going to put nothing in your face in a time of weakness to lead you away from him. He's going to put something in your face to keep you strong, to bring you to him. And if we don't have enough wisdom and discernment to figure that out, there ain't nowhere in the world we're going to be saved. Because you're supposed to be able to know this man's devices so you can see him when he's coming. A lot of y'all don't pay attention to none of his devices because you're too busy playing with him. You're too busy holding hands with him and slapping fives with him to even peep him. Hello?
Yeah, understand.
Yeah. Verse 16 again in 2 Corinthians chapter 4. For which cause we faint not, but though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day. For our light affliction is but for a moment, work for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of esteem. While we look not to the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. And see, that's what we end up getting. You come back to Jeremiah 45. That's what we end up getting at. That little suffering, that little downness you feel, it ain't but for a moment, but it's to yield something greater. But you get so consumed at what you're going through and what you're dealing with that you ain't looking for something greater. You looking for something pleasurable right now. That's why the adversary came at the master the way he came. I'll give you this and I'll give you that. Trying to get him to look at the right now. And I believe that just comes from you being in America and this Western culture and the European mind frame of instant gratification. Feel bad, do something to make yourself feel better instead of suffering through it. Instead of getting through it. You know what I'm saying? One of the things that we'll look at that I've noticed in my lifetime, that when we dealing with something and you really need strength, the people who come around you that you think are really trying to help you get through it, really give you or encourage you to do things that are actually more destructive and calling themselves helping you in the midst of them doing it. And then you thinking they holding you down and they being, it's just like, I'll give you an example. It's just like a nigga get out of jail. He broke. He ain't got nothing. His homeboy see him, you know what I'm saying? Okay, they take him, go get some clothes. Maybe take him, go have sex with some women, whatever the case may be. And give him some guns and some dope. Now to somebody, something look like you really helping him out, you putting him on, you getting your homeboy right because he in a weak state. He may got it in mind, I don't want to live like this no more. But they throwing this stuff in his face and it look like they keeping it a buck with him, when actually they're destroying him. They're not helping him. They're not giving him strength. They're not holding him down in actuality. They're doing more harm than good. But a person, when somebody look at, boy, that boy came through for me, boy, bought me some clothes, man, put some money in my pocket, gave me some work. You feel like you owe that person because they did something for you. When in actuality, they didn't do anything for you but to destroy you and to keep you on a destructive path. That's it. You know what I'm saying? I done told y'all this before. It's a lot of stuff that I ain't get to do when I was hustling that I want to do that was positive. Because the book tell you in Romans chapter 3, you can't do evil and expect good to come from it. We do evil and then backtrack and think we can pull good out of the evil. And that is not 100% accurate. I ain't gonna say that it can't never, but that's what Paul said in Immaculate Tone. He said, let us do evil that good may come. And that's how stupid we is. That's how dumb we are as people. You know what I'm saying? That we think we can do evil and good can come out of that. That we think people bringing evil to us and destruction to us is them actually being our friend and strengthening us and being there for us in a hard time. That's not being a friend. That's not actually love according to this book. That's not right, because we think backwards. Because we live in a backwards society. We live in a backwards culture. And we're around backwards people. That's why the book say, deliver me from the hand of these strange children whose right hand is a right hand of falsehood. Because that's the confusion that we dwell in this particular culture. Everything is a lie. Everything is backwards. The way that we've been taught to deal with each other is backwards and not according to the word. And then we think that's how we're supposed to do stuff. And that's why we don't never get right. Jeremiah 45:3. That's why I tell you before. We so backwards that you say you want a virtuous woman, a strong woman, but then you want a weak woman because that weak woman's not going to hold you accountable and challenge you to be no man. You say you want a righteous man, but you choose a weak man because this weak man will allow you to do whatever you want to do because this righteous man is going to challenge you and hold you accountable and make you be the woman that you're supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Because everything is backwards. Because the ideals and virtues that we should hold dear, we don't. We find them offensive. 45:3, right? Thou didst say, woe is me now, for Yahuwah have added grief to my sorrow. I fainted in my sighing, I find no rest. Thus shalt thou say unto him, thus saith Yahuwah, behold, that which I have built will I break down, and that which I have planted I will pluck up, even this whole land. And seek thou great things for thyself, seek them not. For behold, I will bring evil upon all flesh, saith Yahuwah, but thy life will I give unto thee for a prey in all places whither thou go. He said his life would be given for a prey. You know, it tell you that in the book of Isaiah about a man who turned himself from evil, maketh himself a prey. He just told Baruch that he would make his life a prey in any place that he went. When we look at the word prey, it's a spoil or a booty or a plunder, something given. That word is shalal, and that's what the master ended up being. He ended up being a prey or a booty or a spoil. They spoiled him. Robbers spoiled him according to the book of Hosea in chapter 6. But they spoiled him in order for us to become rich, to be able to partake in the riches that he had. And again, it's taking you right back to the fact that you owe this man. You owe Yah your breath. You owe him the clothes on your back, the roof over your head. You owe him your children. If you're married, you owe him your spouse. Prayerfully, you have a good one. You know what I'm talking about? You owe him your job. You owe him your faculties. You owe him the fact that you even have a mind to even desire to want to walk in his word. And then you literally owe him your life. In the literal sense, like your literal life. That's what you owe him. And all this man wants you to do is to forsake anything and anyone that is contrary to him and cleave unto him. That's all he wants you to do. That's all he wants you to do. You ain't got to forsake anybody for me because you don't owe me nothing. You know what I'm saying? Period. You know what I'm talking about? I personally don't care who you talk to, who you marry, or what you do. You know what I'm talking about? Because that's up to you. You're going to have to answer for it. You know what I'm talking about? If it's contrary to the word, I'm going to tell you because I care about your soul. You know what I'm saying? You might not want to do that. You might not want to go in that direction. You might not want to hang with this person. But you can do what you want to do. You can do what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? But on a personal level, if you talking about, cause that's your personal business, I really don't care. You know what I'm saying? Just be wise in your decisions. I hope it work out well for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the type of person who want to see bad stuff happen to nobody. But if I sit back and I say you finna make a stupid decision and they done told you that would be stupid and you do it, then he's gonna look at you like, shoot, I ain't even gonna be hit you with I told you so. It just shoot. We're gonna have to do something to make it right, but you already knew what time it was. Most of the time when we make a stupid decision, we already know it's a stupid decision before we do it. We just hope it's gonna end up working out well. Because a lot of times we don't want to acknowledge I'm making a stupid move. I need to cut this move off before it get any further. But you worry about what somebody gonna say. Screw about nigga picking on you or this, that, there, and the third. If it's a dumb move, just go ahead and cut your losses. And it's whatever. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no need of that. People in business do it all the time. We're going in the wrong direction. Let's cut this deal off, or let's cut this. Let's just stop it right now because it's going to be detrimental to the business. Let's just start right now. Let's not go any further. It's not going to work out well for us. We're going to lose money. So you know what I'm saying? You can't be worried about all that because this is your soul. I don't care if it's no husbands, no wives, no kids, no friends, no family members, no nothing. That's your soul. This is your salvation. You can't put that in there worrying about people around you. If they want to go to hell, let them go. Why would you join them? You love a nigga that much to go to hell with him? I don't love nobody that much to go to hell with him. You're going to have to take that trip by yourself. I don't want to go there with you. That doesn't mean I don't love you. That don't mean I don't care about you. That don't mean I'm not concerned about you. But I don't love, care, and concern enough about you to go to a place that I have no desire to enter into. I just don't. You know what I'm saying? And if that means that I can't be as close or deal with you in a particular fashion, then so be it. I'd rather be with Elohim than be with man. The book say we ought to obey Elohim rather than man. Are you trying to please God or are you trying to please men? Who are you trying to please? Who you want respect from? Who you want honor from? Who do you want love from? Do you desire love from people so bad that you'll forsake the love from the man who sacrificed himself for you? Do you have that big a hole in your spirit, that big a hole in your heart, that you'll rather go to hell than to be with God? That's retarded. That doesn't make any sense. That means you need to go sit down and talk with somebody to figure out how can y'all close this hole up. That if you need the love from human beings more than you need the love from God, you need to go have a conversation with somebody so that can be fixed. Because that's not good. That is not healthy. That is not good. Not if you're saying you're seeking after God. Now, if you ain't seeking after God, then it don't even really matter. If you're seeking after Yahweh and you're desiring the love of people more than the love of Elohim, that is not good. The book told you that they sought the praise of men more than the praise of Elohim. He said you're seeking the honor from one from another, not the honor that comes from Elohim. So that means there's a hole in you. There's something in you that you seeking to fill this with the accolades and love of men versus the accolades and love of Yah. That is not good. And you need to go talk to somebody. And you need to talk to them immediately. And you need to be forthwith and honest of whatever done happened to you. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you experience. So the individual can go in that word and pull that word out to be able to heal that wound. Because that is not good. Because it's going to end up costing you your soul. I'm not trying to be facetious. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm dead serious. You know what I'm saying? I don't care who you go talk to. You need to go talk to somebody. You know what I'm saying? Somebody, and you need to do it as soon as possible. Because as the word says, he had no pleasure in the death of him that died. I don't have no pleasure in nobody going to hell. So whatever that needs to be done to that, because the book tell you that you're supposed to confess your faults one to another, pray for one another that you might be healed, and that be the problem. Because nobody don't want to confess this certain thing because you're worried about what people going to think or what they going to say. Who cares? You'll find out 9 times out of 10 that people really don't care. They really just care about you. Okay, that's what you got going on. That's what you're dealing with. Well, shoot, this is what I got going on. This is what I'm dealing with. Let's pray together so we can be healed. But people want to sit, because it's like this here. I'll put it this way. People want to open up to who they want to open up to. And they want to have conversations with who they want to have conversations with. Versus everybody just being open and honest with each other and praying for each other. And then you'll be amazed at the things that you can be healed from, and as further along word-wise you can go. And we done mentioned this type of stuff before. You interconnected. If you've been immersed in this man's death, you need to stop looking at people in a particular fashion and look at him as that is literally your brother. That's literally your sister. It does not matter if you grew up with them or not. It doesn't matter if you know what I'm saying. All that stuff doesn't matter. If you look at them that's a son or daughter of Elohim and you say that you want to, then you're supposed to be interconnected and join under them like that. Every family gonna have issues. You got to sit down and iron that stuff out. Your natural family members got issues with each other. So sometimes your spiritual family is gonna have issues with each other. But you're supposed to remember one common denominator. All are trying to desire to go to the same place, to meet the same man, and to see the same face. That's what you're supposed to remember. But I know a lot of times a lot of us just don't want nobody to tell us something we don't want to hear. That's a lot of time what it be. You don't want nobody to tell you that's going to be a stupid decision, bro. You shouldn't do that. Nah, sister, I wouldn't do that. That doesn't sound too wise. You don't want to hear that. So you rather cleave to people who you figure will tell you what you want to hear. That's the most dangerous thing in the world, to surround yourself with yes men. Don't surround yourself with yes men. Have enough courage and intestinal fortitude to surround yourself with people who will tell you what you need to hear versus what you want to hear. That says a lot about your character if you surround yourself with yes men. because I mean you really don't have a desire for growth. Nevertheless, come on back and let's look at the next thing. He told you to build that sanctuary. Let's come over here and look at the epistle to Titus in the 2nd chapter, and then swing to 1 Corinthians chapter 3. You know, some of y'all will learn about them yes men as well. Titus chapter 2. Yeah, Titus chapter 2 is cool. Let's look at about verse 11. 2 and 11. What time is it? About 10:30. For the favor of Elohim that brings salvation have appeared to all men, teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world, looking for that Baruch hope and esteemed appearing of the great Elohim and our Savior YAHUAH HaMashiach, who gave himself for us that he might redeem us from all iniquity and purify unto himself a peculiar people zealous of good works. These things speak and exhort and rebuke with all authority. Let no man despise thee. Knowing this here, right? If you're seeking after Yah, and just like this here, because I could go all night long with this here, and I don't want to try to keep y'all that long. So y'all got to follow me. I'm going to try to give as many examples verbally as I can for this verse 12. It says that he's teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lust. When you look in the law, Yah taught you about these type of things. When we look at worldly lust, he taught you in Deuteronomy chapter 7 not to desire the gold and the silver that the nations placed upon their gods. Because he knew that you may desire their gods because of the precious metals and the jewelry that you've seen on them. You think it look all nice and pretty. But this is a cursed thing. He taught you in the law for you not to desire those worldly lusts. He taught you in the law not to desire after evil things, how your forefathers gave up all those gold earrings in Exodus 32 and melted them down and made that golden calf, and then they were out there drinking and dancing and playing. He taught you to deny those worldly lusts because these are the things that the nations were doing. You understand what I'm saying? He taught you how to deny ungodliness in Leviticus 20. A fourth is dealing with the uncleanliness of improper sexual conduct. You understand? He taught you in Leviticus chapter 19 about denying ungodliness, about holding grudges or being a talebearer or hating your brother in your heart. He taught you don't do that. That's not godly. You understand what I'm telling you? The law is already doing this. And this is what Mashiach came and taught you again. But he taught it to you in the flesh, literally. But the statement that Paul is writing in this epistle to Titus is contained in the law. You were taught to deny worldly lust. Those worldly lusts that you were taught to deny was to deny what the nations around you were doing. The Jebusites and the Hittites and the Pergasites and the Jebusites and all the stuff that they were in, the Canaanites and all the stuff that they were into. He taught you to deny that. He taught you to deny ungodliness with the ordinances and the precepts that were contained in there. And then you could understand that when you were seeking after him, you will be seeking after him for the purpose of sacrificing yourself so you could be counted worthy to enter into his house, to enter in through that door into his house. So if you're going to seek after Yah with the whole heart and soul, as David commanded everyone in that 1 Chronicle 22 that we read, it's going to cause you to have to build you a sanctuary. He told them to build the sanctuary, which means you need to build. That goes back to what I mentioned in Galatians chapter 2. If I rebuild the things that I destroyed, I make myself a transgressor. You are literally building the house of Elohim brick by brick. And you need to build it properly. Now, if he just told you to seek it with the whole heart and the whole soul, that means you need to sacrifice yourself to be able to do that. Just like Mashiach did. We know that. John chapter 2. Destroy the temple and I'll rebuild it up in 3 days. He said, I will rebuild the tabernacles of David which are ruined and make amends as the days of old. So if you're going to do what David commanded them people to do, you're going to have to sacrifice yourself in order to build it. If you don't sacrifice yourself, you can't build it. That's why I told y'all that a couple weeks ago. Everybody likes to say, I want to be built up. I want to be built up. But in order to be built up, something has to be destroyed in order to rebuild it in its place. It's build and destroy. You can't. The only way you don't have to destroy something is if you're building it on a foundation that has never been built upon. We have to destroy that old man in order to be built. And in order to destroy that old man, to be rebuilt, that old man has to be destroyed with the word, because you have to renounce those hidden things of dishonesty and those things of the flesh and those things of the world. You have to destroy those things. Because if not, you're going to try to mix the Kadesh with the profane, and you're going to lose, because you can't serve two masters. So you're going to love one or hate the other. It's the bottom line. So you have to be careful with this stuff, because like I said, because I be want to make sure I word my words properly. Because this world makes you feel like, everybody wants to be built up and everybody wants to be encouraged. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm talking about? But then we don't want to deal with the negative aspects that we're carrying around, and nobody wants to do that because don't nobody want to hurt nobody's feelings, because everybody's so sensitive and vaginal in these days and times. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's sensitive. You don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Everybody's feelings get hurt at the slightest thing that's said to them. You know what I'm saying? And your skin got to be tougher than that if you want to be able to grow and become something. Because a lot of times when we take somebody telling us something, we taking it as disrespect. When a lot of times ain't nobody disrespecting you. They just hurt your feelings. So because your feelings are hurt, you feel disrespected, because we live in a culture in these days and times where feelings are very, very paramount. Nobody want to hurt anybody's feelings. Nobody want to hurt anybody's self-esteem. You know what I'm saying? Well, I come from a generation where people feel nobody cared about your feelings. You know what I'm saying? Your feelings, that wasn't a concern. I'm not concerned about hurting your feelings. And that's and somebody on Facebook asked about it. That's where the aspect of where a man begins to become feminine, because he's always in his feelings, or he's always dealing with his feelings, or his feelings are always getting hurt, and all this other type of stuff. Men are not supposed to operate in that fashion. Not that they don't have feelings, but you shouldn't be around here dwelling in them, rolling in them, wallowing in them. Not a man. Shoot, not even a woman to a certain extent. But a woman gets a pass. But a man being overly emotional, that's despicable. And no real man respects it. No real woman respects an overly emotional man. That's an effeminate trait. That's not cool. You know what I'm saying? Plus, on top of that, your God is not emotional. You have to learn the difference between characteristics and emotions. You know what I'm saying? Because some things are characteristics. Like some people look at mercy as an emotion, when mercy is actually a characteristic. People look at empathy or compassion as an emotion, when really they're a characteristic of a person. You're either a merciful person, you're a compassionate person. You know what I'm saying? You're an empathetic person. Or you see somebody, they're a joyful person. That's a characteristic. You know what I'm saying? You can have feelings of joy, but that doesn't mean you're a joyful person. Because being a joyful person, this is the makeup of your character. You know what I'm talking about? So you have to know the difference. You have some people who get angry, but they're not an angry person. You have some people who are angry people. That's their characteristic. You know what I'm saying? So you have to look at a person who bears that characteristic versus someone who has a moment of emotion, because some people bear those characteristics. The book calls them a violent man or a bloody man. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to deal with that type of person. Like the book tells you about not dealing with people who have certain character traits. You know what I'm saying? Because you will learn these character traits. You don't want to learn these character traits. This is why the book tells you about forsaking things and hate, because he's trying to teach you to deny worldly lust and ungodliness, and to teach you that you have to separate yourself from certain things and people, because they will corrupt you. We don't want to believe that. I told y'all a long time ago, when I was hustling, you know what I'm saying? My people looked me in my face one day. She told me, she said, you changed. I said, yeah, I'm a little money orientated. The look on her face was like, you being corrupted. This is not the individual that I know. And I seen that. She didn't say it with her mouth. She didn't utter any words. I seen it in her eyes and in her face, what she was communicating to me. You understand what I'm telling you? And that was in the back of my mind to make sure that I don't allow what I'm in to corrupt me. And then when you begin to get into it, you begin to look at, I got to get out of this, because eventually you're going to be corrupted. You're going to end up becoming like the environment that you're a party to. You're going to end up becoming, because now I'm a strong-minded individual. You know what I'm saying? But everybody's not that strong. And even the most strongest mind can still be corrupted if you subject yourself to the wrong things for an extended period of time. So we have to consider that. If Solomon was the wisest man that ever lived, you know that means he had to be a strong dude, and he allowed people to corrupt him. All of us it can happen to. All of us it can happen to. Because we getting towards the end of the road. That's why it tells you that perfect love casts out fear. Because you're going to because fear is an emotion. And then you have some people, their characteristic is they are fearful people. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's what goes into what we're referring to about changing your heart. Because like I say, some things are emotional and some things are characteristics. So if you want to get rid of those characteristics, because you can have a moment of fear and not be a fearful person. You know what I'm saying? That's why you have to know the difference. Because an emotion is for a moment. Characteristics, this is how you operate. You know what I'm saying? You can have a moment of peace but not be a peaceful person. You could have a moment of happiness and not be a happy person. You could have a moment of sadness and not be a sad person. You know what I'm saying? Some of you know people who are just sad people. That's their character. They're just sad all the time. That's not an emotion. That's a character trait. Something that they need to have a conversation about. Something that they need to correct and eliminate. And you have to look at that. But always remember, emotions are but for a moment. Characteristics are permanent. That's why it said the fruits of the Ruach are gentleness, self-control, goodness, mercy, faith, long-suffering. Those are character traits. Those are things you can't fake. That's the makeup of who you are and what you're about. You can't fake that. You know what I'm saying? It's only so long you can pretend to be a merciful person. It's only so long you can pretend to be a joyful person. It's only so long you can pretend to be a person who has self-control. Because eventually time is going to go on and time is going to reveal who and what you really are. So instead of time revealing who and what you really are, all you would have to do is just eliminate it. That's all you have to do. Let's look at 1 Corinthians chapter 3. I know I called for Mark chapter 12 a while back. We get to it, y'all willing. 1 Corinthians chapter 3. And when you get that perfect faith, that faith. See, a lot of times what we fear is we fear the unknown. And we fear things we don't understand. We have that trepidation because instead of just trusting in Yah, that He'll direct you where He wants you to go. Stop trying to direct your steps to where you want to go and let Him direct you where He wants you to go. It ain't about you. That's your problem. And when I say you, I'm talking about all of us as a people, not just individuals, all of us as a people. That's our problem. We think everything is about us. It's not about you. You were made for one purpose and one purpose alone, and that was to bring esteem to Yahuwah Elohim. He created you for His esteem and for His purpose and for His will. How about you do His purpose and His will instead of trying to seek out your purpose and your will and then trying to cloak it and call it His, lying on Him, because that's what you want. Nevertheless, 1 Corinthians chapter 3. Verse 16. He said, know ye not that you are the temple of Elohim, and the Ruach of Elohim dwell in you. Now y'all already know, listen, right? If any man defile the temple of Elohim, him shall Elohim destroy, for the temple of Elohim is Kadesh, which temple ye are. Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seem to be wise in this world, let him become a fool that he may be wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with Elohim, for it is written, He take the wise in their own craftiness. And again, Yahuwah know the thoughts of the wise, that they are vain. Therefore let no man esteem in men, for all things are yours. Whether Paul or Apollos or Cephas or the world or life or death or things present or things to come, all are yours. And ye are Mashiachs, and Mashiachs is Elohim. That's why He tells you let no man esteem. And I think that's what a lot of them get in trouble at. Is we esteem it in men. You get caught up in the person who delivering the word. We don't realize that man who delivering the word actually belongs to you. He's your servant.
Yeah.
He's your servant. Everything is yours. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here for myself. That's not my cause. He said you an unprofitable servant, just doing what it is your duty to do. Now, don't get me wrong. Some men want that esteem, and they want that honor, and they want that face time, and they want that praise. Those men are apt to be destroyed, according to what the words say. A lot of men who want those type of things usually lead people astray because they are more motivated by the esteem that they get from men. I don't know why people want esteem from men so bad you can't do nothing with it. You know what I'm saying? It's really just a hallmark of low value and low self-esteem. Or some people just narcissistic and that's what they need. You know what I'm saying? They need that constant validation of people telling them how great they are. You know what I'm saying? Some people need that. You know what I'm saying? But you need to look at yourself if you find yourself in that aspect of needing that. Needing someone to tell you how great you are. Needing someone to tell you that you're awesome. Needing that praise all the time. Because usually that's just a sign of something was lacking in your childhood. Because I know some people like to call people sociopaths. Most people are not sociopaths. That's a rare thing. Somebody who's a sociopath is a stone cold killer. Somebody who's a psychopath is usually a stone cold killer. Most people, we throw them terms around and most people don't even qualify for them things. Most people are not even narcissistic. You know what I'm saying? Because that's lead down the pathway of a sociopath or a psychopath. You know what I'm saying? Most people just got low self-esteem and need praise and validation of men. Or they're just selfish. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times we get selfishness confused with narcissism. Most people just selfish. You know what I'm saying? They really just care about themselves. They don't really care about nobody else. Narcissism is an extreme form of selfishness. You know what I'm saying? It's an extreme form. Which most of y'all probably don't even know the story about it. It's just a dude named Narcissus looked in the lake and saw his reflection and fell in love with it and jumped in the water and drowned. You know what I'm saying? It's a real Greek myth, you know, but you know them Greeks kind of weird. So if you want to be wise, you need to become a fool. Now the reason why I'm mentioning this here, because I got to speed it up alone because it's 10:45. You know that Ecclesiastes chapter 2, I want to say somewhere between verses 13 and 15, tell you that as it happened to the fool, so it happened to me. 1 Corinthians chapter 4, I believe, verse 10, tell you that we fools for Mashiach's sake. We know that the two thieves up there on that stake were considered to be fools, and the same thing happened to him. So in order for Mashiach to become wise, he had to become a fool. Because they tell you that the stripes are made for a fool's back. We know that they whipped the master. You understand? So if you want to become a fool, to be wise, you got to become a fool, which is going to take you back to the main premise of what we talking about tonight. You're going to have to sacrifice yourself. And I ain't even get to all the examples of them kings. I guess y'all will, and we get to it on tomorrow. So, because we probably have to revisit this topic because it's very long, and I'm not trying to spill this over in the next week or the subsequent weeks because we are dealing with a particular topic where we just took a small detour. But I want you to consider that though. Every single thing that we looking at is going to come back to one particular thing, and that's a sacrifice. You have to put yourself in the mind of Mashiach. Would you go get up there on that stake? Would you go get up there on it? Ask yourself that. Would you go? Because a lot of people want to go get immersed, so you saying you going to get up on that stake. Some of y'all done been immersed, so you already said, I'm getting up and down that stake. So if you're going to get up on that stake, that means you saying you willing to die. You willing to die. But are you really willing to die? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Nevertheless, where we at, man? What I need. He said, come on back to 1 Chronicle 22. I got to hit to that one point of what she asked about on Wednesday before we slide out here. Make sure I got everything out of 1 Chronicle 22 I need to grab. That's why we're going back right now. That's 2 Chronicles. There we go. 1 Chronicle 22. And then when he said to bring the ark and the set apart vessels in the house to the house that to be built to the name of YAHUAH, we know that YAHUSHA is that house that was built to the name of YAHUAH. You know, he said he came in his father's name and you received me not. You know what I'm saying? You know, he said, "You will not see me again till you say, Baruch be he that come in the name of Yahuwah." But those set apart vessels and that Ark of the Covenant that needs to be brought into the house. And we kind of talked about it Wednesday with the favor. You know that Ark of the Covenant is Yahushua being in you and you in him, and that word being in your heart and in your inward parts. Because if you're going to seek after this man with the whole heart and the whole soul to build that sanctuary, then you know that you have mortified your members. You have killed yourself and rebuilt yourself a new creature. I guess we'll look at it in the pistol letter style. Come over here to Romans chapter 6 real quick, and then 2 Corinthians chapter 5. We just do it like that. And then after that, 2 Timothy chapter 2. And then to bring those set apart vessels into that house. And y'all know what the law say in Exodus 28, well 25, my apologies, of the vessels that's supposed to be in the house. We done went over that before, so we know we can't rehash that this evening. That's a long thing. So there's set apart things, utensils and furniture and all of these type of things, furniture again being vessels, that'll be to be brought in that house that are used for the service in the house of Elohim. If you want to be used in the service of the house of Elohim, then you have to sacrifice yourself and do that with the whole heart and the whole soul to be rebuilt a new creature or to be born again, so these things could be brought in the house. Yeah, you gotta mute your phone, man. You hear the whole conversation. 6 and 5. Make it 6 and 3. Know ye not that so many of us as were immersed into Yahushua HaMashiach were immersed into his death? Therefore we are buried with him by immersion into death, like as Mashiach was raised up from the dead by the esteem of Abba, even so we should also walk in newness of life. For if we've been planted together in the likeness of his death, we shall also be also in the likeness of his resurrection. Knowing this, that our old man is crucified with him, that the body of sin might be destroyed, that henceforth we should not serve sin. For he that is dead is freed from sin. Remember now, let the same mind that be in you, the same mind that was in Yahushua HaMashiach, he that suffered in the flesh has ceased from sin. He that suffered in the flesh has ceased from sin. So what we looking at is here, if you're going to seek this man with the whole heart and the whole soul and build this sanctuary, then you're going to have to sacrifice yourself and rebuild this whole house. You're going to have to rebuild the whole house. We talked about that, I mentioned that in Ephesians 4. He said, you know, let the old man be destroyed, which was according to deceitful lust, and renew yourself in the ruach of your mind, and become and be made over, made over in the likeness of him who created you in true righteousness in Kadesh. Gonna have to be rebuilt. You can't tell me that you're going to build something, you're going to be built up and not be destroyed when Mashiach was destroyed and then rebuilt. You're not going to be able to tell me that and get me to believe it. Because that's contrary to the word and will of Elohim. He destroyed his son and rebuilt him. He didn't build him up and then that was the end of it. He destroyed him and then he rebuilt him in the image of Elohim. Because he was the image of sinful flesh. Let's look at that. Galatians chapter 4 so you can see it out the text. Galatians chapter 4. 4 and 1. There was something else I just missed. Now I say that the heir, as long as he is a child, differ nothing from a servant, though he be master of all, but is under tutors and governors until the time appointed of the Father. Even so we, when we were children, were in bondage under the elements of the world. But when the fullness of the time was come, Elohim sent forth his son, made of a woman, made under the Torah, to redeem them that were under the Torah, that we might receive the adoption of sons. And because ye are sons, Elohim hath sent forth the Ruach of his Son into your hearts, crying, Abba, Father. Wherefore thou art no more a servant, but a son, and if a son, then an heir of Elohim through Mashiach. So knowing this here, you know that Yahushua came through the womb of Mary. Therefore, he was not in the image of Elohim. He was in the image of man, which is why he continually referred to himself as the Son of Man. But when he was crucified and went into that grave and that body of sin was destroyed and then he was resurrected, He was resurrected the son of, let's look at that, Romans chapter 1 and 1. He was resurrected the son of Elohim. Therefore, he was now in the image of Elohim. If you want to become into the image of Elohim, then this is what you must do. That's why he say to walk in newness of life. So you seeking this man with the whole heart and soul for the purpose of building the sanctuary, which, remember, this takes us back to Hebrews chapter 8, when he said this is the sanctuary which Yahuwah have pitched and not man. So you have to understand, son, that when you get immersed and come up out of that water, that is symbolic of being the house that Yah has made and not man. You are the temple that are made without hands. That Yah made this house. So, and why did Yah make this house? Because you sacrificed yourself, because you sought after him, because you consumed the flesh or destroyed the flesh by the head, which is Yahushua, to enter into the door. Because you destroyed and consumed the flesh so you could be separated, so you could enter into the house. This is bottom line. That's why he says seek his face and seek his strength continually. Seek his face. To seek his face, you're going to have to sacrifice yourself. That's the only way you're going to be able to do it. Romans 1 and 1. Paul, a servant of Yahushua HaMashiach, called to be an apostle, separated unto the gospel of Elohim, which he had promised afore by his prophets in the scriptures, concerning his son Yahushua HaMashiach, our master, which was made of the seed of David according to the flesh, and declared to be the son of Elohim with power according to the Ruach HaKodesh, and by the resurrection of the dead. So now, for him to become the son of Elohim, to be rebuilt, he had to be destroyed. So in order for you to become a son or daughter of Elohim, you got to be destroyed. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, you got to be destroyed. Ain't no way around that. And that's the part of the game that we try to buck. Because you like holding on to whatever it is that is a part of you. 5 and 16. You like to hold on to it. Make it 5 and 14. You like to hold on to it. You want to hold on to you. You don't want to let it go. Therefore, you can't get what you're seeking after, which is eternal life. You're not going to get it. You're halfway doing it. Say, for the love of Mashiach constrain us, because we thus judge that if one died for all, then we're all dead. And he that died for all, and they which live, should not henceforth live unto themselves, but unto him which died for them and rose again. Wherefore henceforth know we no man after the flesh, yea, though we have known Mashiach after the flesh, yet now henceforth know we him no more. Therefore, if any man be in Mashiach, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. Which means those old things would have had to been destroyed. It's going to keep you taking back the sacrifice. You know, I mentioned Romans 12. Let's get it before we slide out of here, because we didn't pull it. And then we'll get that Mark 12, because I mentioned that too, and we ain't got that yet. And then Proverbs chapter 1, and we get ready to slide on out of here. Oh yeah, we need 2 Timothy chapter 2. Let's get that 2 Timothy chapter 2 first. Almost forgot about him. About them set apart vessels. Good old storm out the door. Good old storm. 2 Timothy 2 and 19. Nevertheless, the foundation of Elohim stands sure, having this seal, that Yahuwah know them that are his. Let everyone that name the name of Mashiach depart from iniquity. But in a great house there are not only vessels of gold and of silver, but also of wood and of earth, and some to honor and some to dishonor. If a man therefore purge himself from these, he shall be a vessel unto honor, sanctified and meet for the master's use, and prepared unto every good work. But listen what he tell you. Flee also youthful lusts, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, shalom, with them that call on Yahuwah out of a pure heart. Now, we dealt with it last year time around Passover. When you look at youthful lusts, those youthful lusts would take us back to when we were in Egypt, and the things that we were desiring when we were a young people, becoming a people. You know what I'm saying? And that's how he was telling you not to desire the things on the other side of the flood in Egypt, the things that you lusted after in your youth. So you hear this, that's why Paul say, when I was a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. You should not be having the same lust and desires and appetites that you did when you were younger. Now, I know a lot of y'all still young. You know what I'm saying? So you shouldn't be desiring and lusting after the stuff you did when you were a teenager. That's pitiful. Do you know what I'm saying? You have to step out of that stuff and get into reality and be an adult and don't live in la la land. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just sad. There's absolutely nothing that I desire at 37 years old that I desired that even when I was 27. Much less 17. Do you know what I'm saying? That means you not growing and expanding. We had a conversation last night. I tell you this real like this here, man. Smoke around our way though, but I tell you, just because people use drugs don't mean they stupid and don't mean they ain't got no wisdom to impart. I don't know why people think just because somebody a junkie they can't tell you nothing. But I know I forgot how it came out. I done told y'all this before, man. That lady told us straight up and down. She said if you have a life experience and you make the same mistake twice, that was a wasted life experience. Everything you had just encountered was for nothing if you making the same mistakes over and over again. You know what I'm saying? And if you look at the fact that you still think and desire the same things at 25 that you did when you was 20, that you did when you were 15, you just wasted the last 5 to 10 years of your life. You ain't learned nothing from it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not good. That's not good at all. That you float through life and you still think and want the same stuff that you did when you were young. When you're young, you inexperienced and you immature and you don't have a real good grasp on reality and things of that nature. And then you go 10 years of your life and you still on that. That's why he told you to flee from that. That's why he look at it, he say, you don't bring the set apart vessels in the house. Well, you need to purge yourself from anything that's contrary to the word so you could be brought in the house just like David instructed him to. And when you do that, then you need to make sure that you follow righteousness, which is in faith, in love, and peace. That's what you need to be following after. Not your desires, not your own will, not your own understanding. What's right in the eyesight of Yahuwah? What's pure in the eyesight of the Yahuwah? True faith and true shalom, which is going to take you to destroying authority attached to chaos, which is going to take you right back to you need to sacrifice yourself. Because that's the only way you're going to consume and destroy the chaos, which is the flesh, which is sin. You're going to have to offer yourself up. He said, you know, oh, wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of this death? Well, this man say, who will overcome? But he that believe that Yahushua is the son of Elohim. And if you believe that this man died and rose again from the dead, then you ain't got no business wallowing away in the flesh, in your emotions, and sin, or none of that. If you believe this man is the son of Elohim, ain't nowhere in the world you should be wallowing in that. Ain't nowhere in the world. That means you ain't crucified yourself with him, which means you are not seeking Yah with the whole heart and the whole soul. You playing games. Nevertheless, Romans chapter 12, and then Mark chapter 12. And we ain't got no business to be playing games. You too late in the game to be playing games. Not late in the game as far as taking the event of that this man coming back tomorrow, but late in the game of if you play around too long, this man might cut you off. Because you're not retaining this man in your knowledge. Which means you touching and fooling with things you ain't got no business touching. Which means he just might let you have it. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Elohim, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, Kadesh, acceptable unto Elohim, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Elohim. That's the same thing Paul wrote to the Ephesians. That you should be circumspect and that you should know what the will of the master is. You should know what the will of Yah is. There is no way that you hear the word, you study the word, you read the word, and you don't know what this man's will is. Ain't nowhere in the world any of y'all should not know that it is the will of Elohim that you abstain from fornication. This is your sanctification, that you know how to possess your vessel in honor. Ain't nowhere in the world that you should not know that. You should know it's the will of Elohim that you believe on the name of the man whom he sent. You should know it's the will of Elohim for you not to consume certain type of meats. You should know it's the will of Elohim for you not to hold no grudge in your heart against your brother. You should know it's the will of Elohim that you love your neighbor as yourself. You should know it's the will of Elohim for you to be Kadesh in actions and in heart and in mind. You should know that. Nobody should have to tell you that. You should know it's the will of Elohim to keep the Shabbat and how to keep it. If you've been instructed, you should already know that. That's why he say some of you have not the knowledge of Elohim. I speak this to your shame. You think Paul was concerned about their feelings? I don't want to hurt their feelings. He say, nah, nigga, you ought to be ashamed. You should be ashamed. Do you know what I'm saying? And we don't live in that type of society and culture no more. Don't nobody want to be ashamed. Nobody feeling got to be hurt. You don't got to talk to me like that. You didn't have to say that. That didn't build me up. Man, nigga, go on to sit down and just squat and pee instead of standing up. Because you was a whole hoe out here. Come on to Mark chapter 12. Wrong people, too sensitive. Don't let these people around it like that. I seen it on HBO Real Sports when I first came home from prison. It was called the wussification of America. Because they wanted to take dodgeball out of school because the kids was hurt. Playing games where there ain't no winners and losers. You know what I'm talking about? Giving kids participation trophies when they lose. All of this type of stuff because you worried about people's feelings. Don't not really knowing that this is a brainwashing tactic. This is a brainwashing tactic. And then you turn around and you ridicule the kids for being entitled and being lazy. But this is the environment that you fostered to dumb them down. We don't want to deal with that because we don't want to hurt the kids' feelings, man. They're young adults. You're training them to be adults. You don't want your son around here being no wuss. That's retarded. You don't want your daughter to be some hard, like she hard like a dude, but she got to have thick skin. You got, man, it's a real world out here, man. The people don't care nothing about you out here on these streets, man. You know what I'm saying? The world is harsh and it's real. What they going? We so ill-equipped them that when somebody tell them something they don't want to hear when they become adults, they shocked. They don't know how to handle it. That's Europeans for you, though. Mark chapter 12. That's Europeans for you. That's how they operate. That's how they get down. 12 and 28. And one of the scribes came, having heard them reason together and perceiving that he had answered them well, asked him, which is the first commandment of all? And Yahushua answered, the first of all the commandments is, Hear, O Yahshua, Yahuwah Elohim is one master. And thou shalt love Yahuwah thy Elohim with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind, and with all thy strength. This is the first commandment. And the second is like, namely this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. There is none other commandments greater than these. If you seeking this man with the whole heart and the whole soul, that's how you will operate. But let me hit this one little key point right here, man. Come over here to Proverbs chapter 1. Proverbs chapter 1. So, in closing with that particular matter, and Yah willing, we'll continue it on tomorrow. Seeking after Yah will require you to sacrifice yourself. Namely, the sacrifice of the head allows you to enter into the door. The sacrifice of Yahushua allows you to enter into the door. The second one, the sacrifice or the destruction, causes division for you to enter into the house. Do you know what I'm saying? So, Hamashiach, as we read in Isaiah 22, Hamashiach made a sacrifice for you to enter into the door. Through that sacrifice, that separates you to be able to enter into the house, which is the end, and we'll probably close in Revelation 22 with that. Allow you to enter into the kingdom. That's what you need to realize and consider when you're thinking about seeking after Yah. If you ain't doing that, you're not getting this man kingdom. If you more concerned about what you can do and what you want to do, you ain't sacrificed yourself. You ain't did it. You know what I'm saying? Because that is not how Yahushua thought. You can see that in the text. He was not concerned about, can I do this or can I do that, or I'm trying to do this or I'm trying to do that. His sole objective was to do the will of his Father. That's all he was concerned with. He wasn't concerned with doing his own will. And you know this because this man said, not my will be done, but thy will be done. And I don't believe as a people that's consistently how we think and operate. Majority of us probably pray for things that are not even according to his will. You know what I'm saying? And you already know it's not according to his will when you're making the request. That's how selfish we are. You know what I'm saying? That's how selfish we are. Because we want what we want. We don't care what y'all want. And we try to put his name on it. That's wicked. Don't let nobody tell you no different. That's wicked. That's not a righteous mind. That's not a godly mind. That's not how godly people think. That's not how the book instructs us to think. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 23. I'll use verse 22. How long, ye simple ones, will you love simplicity, and scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge? Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour my ruach unto you, out my ruach unto you. I will make known my words unto you. Because I have called, and ye refused. I have stretched out my hand, and no man regarded. But you have set it not all my counsel, and would none of my reproof. I will also laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear come. And when your fear come as desolation, and your destruction come as a whirlwind, and when distress and anguish come upon you, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. And they shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. For they hated knowledge, and did not choose the fear of Yahuwah. They would none of my counsel. They despised all my reproof. Therefore shall they eat the fruit of their own ways, and be filled with their own devices. So when this man comes, because see, this man ain't finna keep coming and coming and coming to tell you to correct yourself. This man said you hated his correction, you hated his reproof, you set his counsel as nothing. When he stretched out his hands, you didn't regard. You already know when he stretched out his hands. When he was on that stake, he stretched out his hands, and you regarded the blood of the covenant as an unkadesh thing. You didn't regard it. It wasn't a concern to you. You threw this man words behind your back. So when everything begins to fall upon your head and you call, he said he's not going to answer. And that goes back to being reprobate. When you get reprobate and you don't want to, because you didn't want to listen and you didn't want to retain this man's word, knowledge in your mind, and you wanted to do what you wanted to do, and you wanted to go where you wanted to go, and you wanted to be what you wanted to be, that man said, I don't want to hear nothing from you when I come bust you upside your head. When he came to take them up into Assyria and take them into Babylon and pull them out, and when they ran through Jerusalem in 70 AD, he did not hear them cries. And when they sought after him, they couldn't find him because he wasn't there. He turned his back on them. He turned his face from them. That is what sin, disobedience, stubbornness, and rebellion will do. It will cause Yah to turn his face from you. And then when you seek his face, you won't find it. That again, verse 26 is pretty plain. That calamity he take because you don't listen. This is for people who don't listen. That calamity is going to fall on your head when you don't listen. That man telling you, and we done dealt with this in the past too. Because this is him laughing and mocking Mashiach when he on the stake. Nevertheless, when you don't listen, the things that you fear, he's going to mock you. And when things fall on you, he's going to laugh at you. He's going to laugh at you. You know what I'm saying? He's going to mock you because you stupid. You know what I'm saying? Because you stupid. Because this man going to give you a ample times to turn back. See, look at 2 Chronicles 36 and then Revelation 21, because we got a slide. It's getting a little late. See, look at 2 Chronicles 36 and verse 14. Matter of fact, make it 11. We'll be getting to Zechariah, Yah willing, eventually. We still got quite a few kings to touch. Zechariah was 120 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And he did that which was evil in the sight of Yahuwah his Elohim, and humbled not himself before Jeremiah the prophet, speaking from the mouth of Yahuwah. See, this is an example of what we talking about. Son of prophet, to tell him to change, to tell him to repent, to give him counsel. The nigga didn't listen. So now your fear gonna come and your calamity gonna come because nigga you don't listen. You know what I'm saying? And that's been Yasharal's problem from our inception. You niggas don't listen. You know what I'm saying? somebody coming to tell you, to give you a recommended course of action, somebody coming and trying to correct you. It's the same thing that Ahab said about Micaiah. I don't like him. He don't never speak well concerning me. That's what's wrong with us, man. Period. You always looking for a nigga to tell you what you want to hear according to what it is you want to do versus what y'all tell you to do. It means you're a selfish, inconsiderate, ungrateful bastard. Because you ain't considering this man sacrifice. You ain't considering this man paid his life for your life. You know what I'm saying? You ain't considering this man offered himself to cleanse a covenant so you could become the people of Elohim again, to return back to the land of your forefathers, that you might be able to dwell with him and that he might be able to serve you as his intent was from the beginning. All this stuff is for you, and you steady think it's about you. That I want what I want. You supposed to do this for me. You got to get that type of thinking out of your brain. You got to stop worrying about what it is why are you so concerned about what you want? Why is what you want more important than what y'all want? How can anything that you want be greater than what y'all want for you? How can we be that stupid to think that anything that we can conceive and desire and attain could be greater than anything that y'all could give? How can we be that stupid? You don't think of how can we be that stupid? That is, I'm talking about, that is a level of stupidity that I don't think I could ever be able to understand. If there's a situation that there's something I want versus that what y'all want, I know that whatever y'all want has to be greater than anything I could ever desire. And I would take what y'all would want for me over what I want. But most people are going to go after what they want. And the only reason why they go after what they want is because they don't trust y'all. Because they don't even really believe y'all got it. Or what they perceive that y'all has for them ain't along in the lines of what they wanted or what they thought it was going to be. It was the same way with Mashiach. Mashiach didn't come the way that they thought he was going to come. Therefore, they didn't want him. Because he didn't come how they thought he should come. He didn't look how they thought he should look. We don't want him. We don't want him. Not realizing this is the best thing for you. You know, you should get to the point of what you want is what you need, and what you need is what you want. If your needs are not what you want is not actually what you need, you got a problem. Because if what you need is what you want, then it's usually something of substance. Something of gravity. Not all the time, but most of the time. If it's just going on, you want, that's usually your desire, and your desire is going to take you down the wrong pathway. Because it's temporary. It's temporary. That's why they say the things that are seen are temporal. The things that are not seen are eternal. And we don't want the things that are not seen. You have to keep that in mind too. Just keep that in your mind. That when they saw Mashiach, they didn't want him because he was not what they thought he should be, or what they wanted, or what they had in their mind. So I don't want that. I want this over here. Even though this over here in Yahushua is what you needed and was the best thing for you, because this is what Yah had to give. They didn't want what God had to give. They wanted what they wanted for themselves. And you have to think about that in your decision making. Would you, if you had it, whatever it might be, if it were put in your face and there was a sign over the top of it, which that sign should be your discernment to be able to tell the difference between the two. If there was a sign over one thing that said this is of Yah, and a sign over another one that said this is of you, which one would you choose? Which one would you choose? Verse 13, and he also rebelled against King Nebuchadnezzar, who made him swear by Elohim. But he stiffened his neck and hardened his heart from turning unto Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal. Moreover, all the chief of the priests and the people transgressed very much after all the abominations of the heathen, and polluted the house of Yahuwah, which he hallowed in Jerusalem. And Yahuwah Elohim of their fathers sent to them by his messengers, rising up betimes and sending, because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. But they mocked the messengers of Elohim, and despised his words, and misused his prophets, until the wrath of Yahuwah arose against his people, till there was no remedy. Therefore he brought upon the king of the Chaldees, who slew their young men with the sword in the house of their sanctuary, and had no compassion upon young men, or maiden, old man, or him that stooped for age, and he gave them all into his hand, and all the vessels of the house of Yahuwah, of Elohim, great and small, and the treasures of the house of Yahuwah, and the treasures of the king, and of his princes. All these he brought to Babylon, and they burnt the house of Elohim, and brake down the wall of Jerusalem, and burnt all the palaces thereof with fire, and destroyed all the goodly vessels thereof, and of them that escaped from the sword carried he away to Babylon, where they were his servants to him and his sons until the reign of the kingdom of Persia, to fulfill the word of Yahuwah by the mouth of Jeremiah, until the land had enjoyed her Shabbats. For as long as she shall lay desolate, she shall keep Shabbat to fulfill 70 years. So, and that's the thing that they feared. They feared the temple being destroyed. They feared going into captivity. They feared the destruction of Jerusalem. But because they did not listen, he brought that fear upon them, and he laughed and mocked them when their calamity come and when the destruction come, because they didn't listen. Because at the end of the day, what you seen why he did this to these people is because they did not listen. Because they weren't seeking this man with the whole heart and the whole soul. Therefore, they didn't care what he had to say. That's a cautionary tale. To not be an idiot. To listen. To take your reproof and your correction and follow the counsel of Elohim and not the counsel of yourself. Revelation 21 and 22. See, we don't like to follow God. We like to say we follow God. We don't like to follow God, though, because it's usually going to block us from getting something that we want. You should want Elohim and everything that emanate from him. But what we like to do is we like to get things and try to make them be of Elohim to comfort ourselves, when we already know y'all ain't got nothing to do with this. You know what I'm saying? We already be knowing that. But we trying to convince ourselves and others to make ourselves feel better. And that's just dumb. This your soul. It may not seem like it because you can't see it right now. You know what I'm saying? But one day you're going to stand before this man. And you're going to see it. And you're going to wish that you took your salvation more seriously than you do. You know what I'm saying? You're going to wish that you hearken unto this man's voice. You're going to wish that you destroyed yourself so you could be separated to enter into his house. You're going to wish that you took more seriously the destruction of the head so you could get in the door. You're going to wish you took that more seriously. So while today is today, harden not your heart that you may hear his voice before you be deceived by sin to your own destruction. Because at the end of the day, sin is deceiving you. Man is not deceiving you per se, depending on the situation and circumstance. Sin is deceiving you. Your own vain opinion is deceiving you. Your flesh is deceiving you because you're being deceived by corrupt emotions, appetites, and desires. And I saw no temple therein, for Yahuwah Elohim Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it, and the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it, for the esteem of Elohim did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it, and the malice of their rats do bring their esteem and honor into it. And the gates of it shall not be shut all the day, there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the esteem and honor of the nations into it, and there shall no wise enter into it anything that defile, neither whatsoever work abomination or make a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. And the only way you're going to, how did the Lamb get life? Because he died to get it. Let's continue on. And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of Elohim and of the Lamb. And in the midst of the street of it, on the either side of the river, was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. There shall be no more curse, but the throne of Elohim and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servant shall serve him. And they shall see his face, and his name shall be in their foreheads. He said his servants will serve him, and you will see his face. You will see his face. Because remember what the master told you in Matthew chapter 5. Let's look at it. Matthew 5 and 8. Matter of fact, swing to Proverbs chapter 24. No, Matthew 5 and 8 is cool. We stop it right there. Matthew 5 and 8. Listen what it tell you, man. Just do it just like this here. Say, Baruch are the pure in heart, for they shall see Elohim. And we talked about what do you got to do to renounce the hidden things of dishonesty. What do you need to purify? How can a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed according to thy word, that he immersed it, that she might be without spot, wrinkle, or blemish. What do you do to purify and cleanse your heart? By pushing out and purging out all the things that are not of Elohim, which means that you would have to seek him with the whole heart and the whole soul, which means you would have to sacrifice yourself to be made new, to walk in newness of life, which means to be made into the image of Elohim, which means you would have to destroy yourself to be rebuilt. And then therefore you would build that sanctuary, you would bring in that ark, and you would bring in them vessels into that house so you could be used by this man. If you do not purify your heart, then you will not see this man. You will not see this man. Your desire should be to see this man. But hallelujah for YAHUAH in the word. Y'all understood all that, man? That's all I got for tonight. Well, I got more, but we can't keep